What's up, welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of The Running Man, the new action thriller film from Edgar Wright starring Glen Powell. This is, of course, an adaptation of the 1982 Stephen King novel, which previously was adapted into a movie in 1987 starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. The Running Man 2025 is Edgar Wright's first film since Last Night in Soho. It's the latest star turn from Glen Powell as he continues to check off various boxes in his leading man persona. And the film also features some familiar faces, including Coleman Domingo, Josh Brolin, Emilia Jones, Michael Cera, Lee Pace, William H. Macy. Really stacked, deep cast. Edgar Wright's The Running Man remake is disappointing in its conclusion due to severe tonal inconsistency and a lack of substance when faced with the serious societal commentary and satire that it proposes. The film starts off pretty well and has some good set pieces. I like Glen Powell as a leading man, but this character is not written in a way to really speak to his fast-talking, charismatic talents. However, for what it is, it remains entertaining up until a point before really getting off the rails with its third act and fumbling its conclusion when given the opportunity to land with a stronger note. Truthfully, it doesn't really feel like an Edgar Wright movie to me. It's certainly below his standard given his filmography to this point. And when thinking about The Running Man in all of its forms, this dystopian action thriller where we're in the future, I believe the novel actually takes place in 2025. This movie doesn't feel particularly super far off. There is a little bit of, futuristic technology, but not much really. But we're in this dystopian future where society is truly a haves and have-nots between the wealthy and the poor. And there's a series of game shows, of competition television shows of various, shapes and sizes that are put on by the, controlling government called the network. And people that are desperate, these poor people, have nothing left to do but try and win money on these shows. The most dangerous of them being The Running Man, where you try and survive 30 days while being actively hunted by professional killers and also existing in society where everyday citizens can be rewarded for successfully tipping off the hunters to kill you. Very depraved, obviously, and the film doesn't do enough to really get into that sort of thing in terms of any deeper nods to classism and anything like that. We're presented very early on with Glen Powell, his wife, his young daughter. They're struggling financially. They are have-nots, and their kid is sick. Nothing super serious, seemingly, although they do mention cancer at one point. He says it's the flu later. She's sick, and they don't have the means to solve it. And in his desperation, he actually enters for The Running Man. At the same time, Glen Powell's lead character, Ben Richards, we're told several times throughout the beginning of the movie until it's hammered home that Ben Richards is a very angry person. He's very mad. He's mad at the system, mad at society, mad at all his former employees, mad at being blacklisted by the network from all of their corporations. He can't work anywhere. And we're told that he's mad. And to me, it's a lot of show don't tell. Glen Powell, him being mad is not as convincing as him being a fast-talking Texan like he is in Twisters, or charismatic as all hell like he is on Hitman, right? It's just not a character that lets him work to his strengths as much, and him being mad is basically him looking angry and snapping at people, but not expressing any deeper thoughts on why he's mad. This character of the wife, complete non-entity, of course. The kid is just a plot device. Whatever, get into The Running Man itself. It'll be fun. I think it is fun, particularly there's an action set piece that takes place in Boston, of all places, at a hotel where he survives, killing attempt. And, he's using different disguises and stuff. I think all that's pretty amusing. I did laugh at the Boston scenes where they show a building with a sign on that says Boston South Station, and it is clearly not the real South Station. This film did not film in Boston at all, unsurprisingly. Later on in the film, we travel up to Maine, and Ben is able to find safe refuge with Michael Cera, who is a rebellious newspaper man, someone with frankly stronger beliefs in tearing down the current oppressive system than even Ben Richards has. Ben Richards is telling us the entire time he just cares about getting back to his family. He's not trying to be this revolutionary or this martyr or anything like that. And the film just jumps around so much in terms of what it tries to say about regular people. It's not that it gets away of the action. I think when the action is good, it works well. There's a great sequence in Michael Cera's home where he has this booby-trapped house and things like that. That being said, there's lots of leaps and logics in terms of what characters do and kind of the rules of the world, the rules of what principles the network live by get pretty hazy. We know they want their ratings, and Josh Brolin, who's the head of the whole company, the chief producer of The Running Man, or Coleman Domingo, who plays Bobby T, the television host that hypes up the crowd and kind of narrates the turn of events as The Running Man is on television, for a month's time, if it run gets that long. They keep telling us all these things, but it feels kind of hollow, and I think the movie really kind of gets off the rails at the end, as I said, where Emilia Jones shows up kind of out of nowhere to do really very little in the end. This is not her performance on task. It's a pretty thankless. And I think Ben Richards, his motivation seemed to completely change, but I think everything on the airplane at the end was pretty weak. The reveal that the leader of the Hunters was in fact the season 1 player, the guy who got there the farthest. Not surprising, kind of saw that coming. He's revealed to be played by Lee Pace, of all people, but he has very little opportunities to be charismatic Lee Pace because he's only not wearing a balaclava for one scene, really. And it's a change from the ending, of course, the ending of the novel, the ending of the original movie, with a plane flying into the network building, killing tons of people, including Ben himself. Post 9/11 world, corporations running movie studios. It makes sense that we didn't end that way, but yeah, I was just pretty disappointed. In terms of Edgar Wright, it doesn't feel like him flipping a genre on its head the way he does with like Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz or something, right? And it just doesn't have tight enough sequences. It doesn't have a clear enough, focused enough POV like Baby Driver. It just doesn't work in the same way that most of his movies do. And it just kind of feels like an action thriller film that has a pretty challenged script. And when you learn about how this movie came together quite quickly between the screenplay and the production and now its release, maybe it's not all that surprising. I like seeing Glenn do something so action-packed. I think he can handle all the physicality stuff just fine. It's just the personality of his character kind of reins in his natural abilities a little bit. But yeah, The Running Man. I was disappointed by it, even if I largely was enjoying my time for what it was as it was going. Let me know, though, what did you think of Edgar Wright's The Running Man 2025, his Running Man remake? What did you like about it? What did you dislike about it? Let me know. And for more movie reviews, subscribe. And I'll see you next time.